Something I discovered recently has left me unable to sleep, and you deserve to know about it right now. For over a year, I have tracked distribution networks across the country, and what emerged from that research pushed me to overhaul my entire food storage system just weeks ago. 11 particular products are silently moving toward critical scarcity, according to quiet alerts circulating among major wholesalers and retail partners. The strange part? Almost nobody outside the industry understands what is building. Traditional news outlets have stayed silent. Your friends and family remain unaware. Yet the professionals responsible for moving goods from production facilities to store shelves are taking action based on internal data. Make sure to subscribe because I will continue revealing what distribution experts are witnessing in real time. Grocery costs are accelerating beyond what typical households can track effectively. I have calculated everything for you and assembled a complimentary emergency food plan identifying precisely 15 products available at budget retailers today that can sustain your household for 14 days. That works out to 28,000 calories, costing less than a single restaurant delivery order. The complete shopping guide is available at zero cost through the description area below, allowing you to shift from anxiety to action immediately. 3 Tuesdays back, an experience occurred that crystallized the entire situation for me. I sat down for morning coffee with someone managing distribution operations for one of the biggest food wholesalers serving the southeastern states. 23 years of industry experience. This individual has navigated every imaginable disruption to product flow. What he shared made my stomach drop. The allocation warnings crossing his desk currently exceed the severity of what appeared during early 2020. Exceed it, meaning worse. These are not momentary bottlenecks we are discussing. These represent core manufacturing challenges showing zero signs of resolution. He opened his mobile device and displayed the confidential messages, product after product marked with urgent red flags indicating diminished manufacturing capability, raw ingredient scarcity, and logistics complications. Then came the statement I cannot shake. He met my eyes directly and stated that anyone who has not begun adjusting their household inventory by this point is already operating behind schedule. That same evening, I returned home and started reaching out to my entire network. Every connection I maintain within food manufacturing, wholesale distribution, and retail leadership received a call. Their responses aligned perfectly with each other. These 11 products demand your immediate attention, not 30 days from now, but today. Product number 1 involves canned tomato goods across all formats, including diced, crushed, whole, sauce, and paste varieties. California produces roughly 95% of processing tomatoes grown domestically, and California faces its most severe water rationing crisis in documented history. Water restrictions implemented this year represent permanent structural modifications to agricultural water access, rather than temporary measures. 2 weeks ago, I connected with a farming operation in the Central Valley. This season brought a 60% reduction in their water allocation. Growing equivalent tomato volumes with 60% less water proves mathematically impossible. Consequently, planting decreased by half. Multiply that scenario across thousands of operations, and total production drops catastrophically. A procurement director at a prominent grocery corporation shared that tomato product fulfillment for the approaching quarter sits at roughly 67%. For every 100 cans ordered, they receive 67, and the shortfall expands monthly. Import tariffs on Mexican tomatoes remain active, rendering the backup supply that would typically offset California shortfalls economically impossible for most retail operations. Last weekend, I personally visited 4 separate stores. 3 displayed noticeably depleted tomato aisles. Several varieties were absent entirely. Canned tomatoes form the foundation of household cooking, including chili recipes, soup bases, stew preparations, pasta applications, and pizza sauce creation. If home cooking defines your routine, tomato products appear constantly. My current minimum inventory stands at 100 cans maintained continuously. The mix includes diced, crushed, sauce, and paste variations. Initial investment approached $80, though I rotate through inventory constantly to maintain freshness. 6 months prior, individual cans cost 99 cents. Last week, identical brands reached $1.49. That represents a 50% price surge in half a year. My purchasing approach follows a simple pattern. Every shopping trip adds 10 cans to inventory. Distribution happens across multiple retailers. Stay reasonable but remain consistent in acquisition. Product number 2 addresses real dairy butter specifically. The underlying problem differs from conventional assumptions. Most people assume butter scarcity stems from milk supply issues. Incorrect. Milk availability remains strong. The actual constraint involved processing capacity combined with profit structure dynamics. Manufacturers generate superior margins selling cream for specialty cheese production, premium ice cream manufacturing, and coffee product lines compared to butter conversion. When operational costs increase, butter becomes among the first products where manufacturers reduce output. Processing plant labor shortages have decreased production throughput across facilities. A regional sales representative disclosed that his company reduced butter manufacturing by 15% this year while simultaneously expanding higher profit margin product lines. This pattern extends industry-wide, not isolated incidents. Butter represents one of those products consumers overlook for stockpiling because of its dairy classification. Here comes the secret, though. Butter freezes exceptionally well, with zero degradation for up to 12 months. My current freezer inventory contains 40 pounds. Purchase butter during promotional pricing. Maintain original wrapper packaging. Place wrapped portions in freezer-quality storage bags. Remove excess air before sealing. When butter becomes necessary, remove a portion the previous night for thawing. My household detects zero difference in quality. Butter pricing swings dramatically across seasons. Last winter saw butter reaching $7 per pound, yet I consumed butter purchased during summer months for $3.50 per pound. Product number 3 covers pasta across all shapes and brand options. The underlying causes involve more complexity than surface-level analysis suggests. A perfect storm of factors converged simultaneously. First, durum wheat serves as the specific variety required for quality pasta manufacturing. The majority originates from North Dakota and Montana. Last growing season delivered severe drought conditions. Yields declined significantly compared to historical averages. The wheat that matured contained reduced protein content. Lower protein translates to inferior pasta quality, forcing manufacturers to utilize greater wheat volumes for equivalent quality output. Transportation expenses added another layer. Shipping costs have exploded upward dramatically. A trucking company operator reported fuel expenses climbing 42% year over year. Packaging materials represent yet another constraint. Cardboard and adhesive shortages have generated production delays. Some manufacturers slowed assembly lines due to insufficient box availability. My personal approach maintains 100 pounds of pasta inventory across various shapes. Long pasta varieties include spaghetti and fettuccine. Short pasta encompasses penne, rigatoni, and shell shapes. Small pasta covers orzo and ditalini formats. Different shapes perform better with specific meals and sauce applications. Shape variety maintains meal interest when consuming from stored supplies. Storage requirements remain straightforward. Original packaging suffices when rotation happens regularly. Long-term storage benefits from transfer into airtight containers or food-grade bucket systems. Properly stored dry pasta lasts years without quality loss. Price escalation proves undeniable. 18 months ago, name-brand pasta pounds cost approximately $1.29. Current pricing consistently exceeds $2. Some retailers push $2.50 per pound. That approach is doubling within 18 months. Every pasta purchase at current pricing saves against tomorrow's higher costs. Add extra boxes during each trip, approximately 10 boxes distributed across brands and shape varieties. Product number 4 encompasses cooking oils, including vegetable oil, canola oil, and olive oil across all categories. This situation genuinely spans global production networks. Let me detail what continues unfolding. Sunflower oil comprises a massive component of vegetable oil blends, with huge percentages of worldwide production originating from Ukraine and Russia. Ongoing conflict has devastated both production capacity and export capabilities. That supply effectively vanished from international markets. Manufacturers pivoted toward alternative oils, including soybean oil, canola oil, and palm oil across all categories. The complication, demand for those oils already operated at elevated levels before asking them to replace millions of gallons of missing sunflower oil. The infrastructure cannot absorb that shift. Palm oil production faces challenges in Indonesia and Malaysia stemming from labor shortages combined with weather disruptions. Soybean oil production in Argentina suffered severe drought damage. Additionally, these oils fuel biodiesel production. Rising fuel prices make vegetable oil conversion to biodiesel increasingly profitable. A purchasing agent for a regional grocery chain characterized cooking oil as among the most challenging categories for consistent inventory maintenance currently. Allocation fulfillment arrives incomplete, with substitute products offered instead of ordered items. Pricing has climbed steeply. Standard vegetable oil bottles that cost $3 now approach $6. Premium olive oil prices became absolutely insane. My strategy involves maintaining 20 gallons of mixed cooking oils. That includes vegetable oil for general cooking, olive oil for specific applications, and coconut oil for baking. 20 gallons sounds substantial until you calculate actual usage. My household consumes roughly 1 gallon monthly. 20 gallons provides less than 2 years' supply. Storage requires cool, dark locations away from heat sources. Cooking oils last 1 to 2 years when stored properly. Rotate inventory to use old products first. Product number 5 addresses canned fish, including tuna, salmon, sardines, and mackerel varieties. Multiple factors converge to create scarcity here. Commercial fishing faces intensifying regulations globally due to sustainability concerns and overfishing problems. Catch limits have tightened, reducing available raw material for canning operations. Processing capacity represents another bottleneck. Canned fish production requires specialized facilities, and those facilities face identical labor shortages affecting all food manufacturing sectors. Aluminum can availability affects all canned products as discussed previously. International supply chains add complexity since much canned fish involves imported products. Shipping disruptions, port congestion, and container shortages all impact availability. Pricing reflects these pressures. Standard tuna cans that cost 80 cents 2 years ago now reach $1.60 or higher. Canned salmon prices doubled in many markets. Why does canned fish matter? It delivers shelf-stable protein requiring zero refrigeration. Protein represents the most critical macronutrient in survival situations. Canned fish provides complete protein with healthy fats, especially omega-3 fatty acids from salmon, sardines, and mackerel. My current inventory holds 150 cans of mixed fish products: tuna for versatility, salmon for nutrition, sardines for caloric density, and mackerel for variety. Total investment approached $200, but that represents 150 protein servings requiring no cooking and no refrigeration. Storage requires cool, dry conditions. Canned fish easily maintains quality for 3 to 5 years. My acquisition pattern adds 10 cans per shopping trip distributed across varieties. Product number 6 involves peanut butter, both creamy and chunky variations. Peanut production concentrates in specific growing regions, primarily across Georgia, Alabama, and Texas. Weather patterns during recent growing seasons created challenges. Some regions experienced drought, while others faced excessive rainfall. Either condition damages peanut crops significantly. Peanut butter manufacturing faced unexpected complications. Several major processing facilities experienced equipment failures and temporary shutdowns for repairs and upgrades. When facilities operate below capacity, product output drops. Labor shortages compounded processing problems like every other food category. Finding qualified workers for food manufacturing plants remains difficult across all sectors. Then consider packaging challenges again. Plastic jars, metal lids, and labels all faced supply constraints at various points. Peanut butter pricing increased noticeably. Large jars that cost $4 18 months ago now approach $6.50 or $7. Store brand options still offer better value, but even those climbed 30 to 40%. Why does peanut butter deserve attention? It represents shelf-stable protein and healthy fat combined with high caloric density. A single tablespoon delivers roughly 100 calories, with protein and fat providing sustained energy. It requires zero preparation or cooking. You can consume it directly from the jar if necessary. My household maintains 40 pounds of peanut butter inventory, mix of creamy and chunky, name brand and store brand. Cost approached $120, but that represents tremendous caloric value and protein content. Peanut butter lasts 6 months to 1 year after opening when stored properly. Unopened jars last 2 years or longer in cool conditions. My purchasing pattern adds 2 large jars every shopping trip. Product number 7 covers rice across all varieties, including white rice, brown rice, and specialty rice types. Rice production within the United States concentrates heavily in Arkansas, California, Louisiana, and Texas. California water restrictions discussed earlier also impact rice production, since rice cultivation requires substantial water. Drought conditions in multiple growing regions reduced yields below historical averages. Brown rice production faces additional challenges because brown rice requires different processing than white rice, and processing capacity for brown rice remains more limited. International rice supplies face their own complications. Major exporting nations, including India, Thailand, and Vietnam, have implemented export restrictions at various times to protect domestic food security. When export restrictions activate, global supply tightens and prices increase. Transportation and packaging constraints affect rice identically to other products. Getting rice from farms to processing facilities to retail stores involves multiple steps, each facing potential disruption. Rice pricing climbed steadily. 20-pound bags of white rice that cost $8 now approach $12 to $14. Brown rice prices increased even more dramatically in some markets. Rice represents one of the most important staple foods globally and domestically. It provides carbohydrates for energy, stores easily, and lasts years when kept dry. Rice combines with beans to create complete protein, making it nutritionally essential beyond simple calorie provision. My inventory maintains 200 pounds of rice divided between white rice and brown rice. White rice lasts decades when stored in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers. Brown rice contains oils that limit shelf life to roughly 6 months to 1 year, so I rotate brown rice more aggressively. Total investment for 200 pounds approached $150. That represents hundreds of meals worth of foundational calories. Storage requires airtight containers or food-grade buckets. Keep rice away from moisture and pests. For long-term storage, use Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers inside buckets. Properly stored white rice lasts 20 to 30 years. Product number 8 addresses powdered milk and shelf-stable dairy alternatives. Fresh milk faces obvious refrigeration requirements and limited shelf life. Powdered milk eliminates those constraints while providing essential nutrients. Powdered milk production depends on dairy processing capacity. The same facilities producing butter, cheese, and other dairy products also produce powdered milk. When facilities prioritize higher margin products, powdered milk output decreases. Global dairy markets affect domestic powdered milk availability. International demand for dairy products creates competition for
export opportunities. Sometimes pull product away from domestic markets when foreign prices exceed domestic prices. Packaging for powdered milk typically involves foil-lined bags or canisters. Supply constraints on packaging materials have affected production and distribution. Powdered milk pricing increased substantially. Large canisters that cost $10 2 years ago now approach $15 to $18. Some premium brands exceed $20. Why does powdered milk matter? It provides shelf-stable calcium, protein, and vitamin D without refrigeration. Children especially need calcium for development. In situations where fresh milk becomes unavailable or unaffordable, powdered milk offers critical nutrition. My stockpile contains 20 pounds of powdered milk. That provides roughly 80 quarts of reconstituted milk. Investment approached $140, but the nutritional value justifies the cost. Powdered milk lasts 2 to 10 years depending on storage conditions. Cool, dry, dark locations maximize shelf life. Once opened, use within 6 months for best quality. Product number 9 returns to canned beans across all varieties, including black beans, pinto beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, and white beans. Bean production in the United States occurs primarily in North Dakota, which grows massive percentages of domestic beans. Serious drought conditions during recent growing seasons reduced yields. Lower yields translate to reduced supply entering markets. Processing bottlenecks emerge here as well. Canning capacity remains limited across the industry. Only so many canning facilities exist, and they operate at maximum capacity, attempting to satisfy demand across all product categories simultaneously. When one product line experiences complications, everything suffers because all products compete for identical canning line time. Aluminum can shortages affect all canned goods, including beans, as mentioned repeatedly. Labor represents another substantial factor. Bean processing requires significant labor input throughout production. A procurement specialist shared that canned bean order fulfillment currently runs at roughly 70%. For every 10 cases ordered, 7 arrive. Canned beans provide shelf-stable protein requiring minimal preparation. Open the can, apply heat, and you possess a complete meal component. Versatility proves exceptional. Beans work in chili, soups, salads, burritos, and rice dishes. A black bean can costing 80 cents 2 years ago now reaches $1.69 in local stores. Some organic varieties approach $3 per can. My current inventory holds 200 cans across various bean types. Black beans, pinto beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, and white beans create variety. Investment totaled approximately $280, but that represents 200 protein-packed meal components. Storage requires cool, dry locations. Canned beans easily last 3 to 5 years in proper conditions. My acquisition strategy adds 10 cans during each shopping trip. Product number 11 involves oats, including both rolled oats and instant oat varieties. Oat production concentrates in specific regions. Canada grows massive percentages of global oat supply. The United States also produces oats, primarily in upper Midwest regions. Both areas experienced weather complications affecting yields. Drought struck some zones while excessive precipitation damaged others. Either condition harms crop quality and quantity. Oats require precise drying and processing procedures. Incorrect moisture content causes rapid spoilage. Processing facilities struggled with equipment issues and labor shortages, reducing capacity for converting harvested oats into rolled oats or instant oats available at retail. Increased demand for oats adds pressure. Oat milk popularity exploded in recent years. This diverted significant oat production away from traditional food applications toward beverage manufacturing. Store observations revealed oat sections display reduced inventory compared to previous years. Some locations stock only a couple of brand options. Prices increased noticeably across the board. Large rolled oat containers that cost $4 now reach $6.50 or higher. Oats provide incredible versatility. Oatmeal for breakfast, obviously, but also granola production, baking applications, oat flour if ground, and soup thickening. Nutritionally, oats deliver high fiber content, decent protein levels, and sustained satiety for hours. In survival contexts, that sustained energy becomes crucial. Properly stored oats last extended periods. For long-term storage, place oats in mylar bags with oxygen absorbers or food-grade buckets. Stored correctly, oats remain viable for 10 years or longer. My inventory maintains 100 pounds of oats divided between rolled oats and instant oats. Investment approached $60, but that represents hundreds of meal servings. Product number 11 addresses coffee specifically. Some might consider coffee non-essential, but let me emphasize that in high-stress situations, the psychological benefit of coffee proves absolutely massive. Beyond mental health aspects, coffee faces some of the most serious production challenges on this entire list. Coffee grows in a very specific climate band called the coffee belt, equatorial regions with correct temperature ranges, rainfall patterns, and altitude requirements. Climate change hammers these regions relentlessly. Brazil, producing roughly 1/3 of global coffee supply, experienced devastating frost events last year, destroying huge crop portions. Frost in coffee regions occurs rarely historically, but frequency increases. Vietnam, the second largest producer, confronted drought issues, reducing yields. Colombia dealt with excessive rainfall and labor strike disruptions. Combined, these factors reduced global coffee production while demand continues expanding. Coffee ranks among the most actively traded commodities worldwide. Price fluctuations happen rapidly and dramatically. Over the last 18 months, wholesale coffee prices increased over 70%. That figure is not exaggerated. I've tracked coffee pricing at local retailers carefully. Standard 12-ounce bags costing $8 1 year ago now reach $11. Some premium brands push $15 or higher. My coffee strategy deserves serious attention. Current stockpile contains 60 pounds of coffee inventory, whole beans and ground coffee.
mix of regular and decaffeinated options, dark, medium, and light roast varieties. Building that stock cost approximately $400, but at current price acceleration, that coffee will hold significantly greater value within 6 months. Beyond financial considerations, think about morale factors carefully. During crisis situations, starting each day with a normal cup of coffee provides psychological stability and normalcy. It represents a small piece of routine when everything else descends into chaos. Storage matters significantly for coffee. Keep whole beans in airtight containers within cool, dark locations. For long-term storage, vacuum seal coffee or utilize Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. So, there you have it completely. The 11 products facing the most severe supply chain pressure right now based on actual data. Canned tomatoes, butter, pasta, cooking oils, canned fish, peanut butter, rice, powdered milk, canned beans, oats, and coffee. These are not random selections or guesswork. These products concern industry insiders based on manufacturing data, allocation warnings, and supply network reports that typical consumers never access. Now, understand this critical distinction. I am not encouraging panic whatsoever. I am encouraging intelligent preparation. Massive differences separate those two approaches. Panic purchasing clears shelves and manufactures artificial shortages, harming entire communities. Intelligent preparation means purchasing extra consistently over time, rotating your inventory properly, and building a buffer protecting your household without damaging your community. Here comes my challenge to you directly. Select 3 items from this list, just 3 to start. This week when you shop, purchase extra of those 3 selected items. Next week, add 2 more items into your rotation. Within 1 month, you will have begun building genuine food security for your household. The beautiful part? Even if nothing adverse ever occurs, even if supply chains miraculously repair themselves tomorrow, you have lost nothing. You are purchasing food you will consume anyway. You are simply buying it now at current pricing instead of later at higher costs. That does not represent prepping or survivalism. That represents smart financial planning, pure and simple. Let me be brutally honest with you though. The people occupying positions to understand what actually happens in supply networks are not waiting around. They are acting immediately. The farmer I spoke with maintains 6 months of food stored. The logistics manager builds toward a full year's supply. The grocery procurement specialist told me her pantry resembles a small warehouse operation. These are not conspiracy theorists or extremists. These are professionals who understand the system deeply, and they recognize what approaches. So the question is not whether you should prepare at all. The question is whether you will act on the information you now possess, or whether you will wait and hope everything resolves favorably. And if you found this video helpful, do me a favor right now. Hit that subscribe button and activate notifications because I will keep bringing you information that mainstream sources are not covering. Information that could make the difference between your family being comfortable or struggling when conditions tighten. How about this? If this video provided value, go ahead and hit that like button for my channel right now. Drop a comment below and let me know which items you plan to stock first. Prepare intelligently. Protect your household.